I'm talking and running my mouth and I'm not getting nothing done. This makeup is about to take me 30 fucking hours. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. As you can see from the title, this is gonna be like a get to know me, get ready with me, Q&A, do some makeup, drink some wine, like that type of thing. So if you want to see how I achieve this look, which is a really simple, like everyday quick beat, you know, you're gotta run out, just gotta put your face on real quick, and you want to learn some more about me, keep watching. If you guys wonder why I'm looking at the screen like over here, it's because the questions are over here. So the first question is, how do I balance my work life and like my social life? For me, like, it's never really been all that hard just because I know my priorities, right? So for me, like my friends and like my family life always come first. Like work is important and it is something that's like, it's how I pay my bills, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like none of that matters. Like all of that stops moving if you don't have people around you that you care about. So, and I'm lucky to be in a position where like my job is pretty lenient. So I can be at work and I can like, you know, step out and like take a phone call, or I can like be on FaceTime if somebody's having an emergency. Like it's always gonna be, I'm always gonna prioritize being there for my friends or being there for my family or taking care of that stuff over like work. I'll be busy, but I just always kind of find a way because I know that that's what keeps me going. Like if I feel like my friendships and everything aren't really in a good place, like everything else is gonna struggle. Like my work life is gonna struggle. It's just not gonna be a good situation. So the next question is, how was it growing up trying to identify with your ethnicity versus now where it's a trend and easily accepted? Sips tea. That's a good question. For those of you who don't know, I'm from Nigeria and Trinidad. My dad's Nigerian, my mom's from Trinidad. Just all mixed up, which is why can't nobody pronounce my last name. But when I was younger, being foreign, like trying to find all of these ways to, you know, separate yourself from the norm. Like people be finding their stepmama, cousin, granddaddy, uncle, brother, sister, and saying that like, oh, like I'm this, that, and third. But like when I was younger, I mean, as a kid, always you just want to fit in. Like you want to feel like you're normal and like you're similar to the people around you. So for me, it's like when I was a kid, I just wouldn't really focus on those things that made me different. Like I wouldn't want to talk about the fact that like, oh, my family didn't eat the same food in the house, or oh, like, you know, we don't listen to the same type of music, we don't watch the same TV shows. Like I just grew up a lot different, and I grew up with my grandparents, so that was all the more like just differences from those around me. Like they're older, you know, people from third world countries. Like I'm obviously not being raised similar to like the people who I'm going to school with and hanging out with, just because it's just different. Like my parents weren't raising me, they weren't young, they weren't from America. But I just always knew like after I got over, you know, the kid stuff of like being bullied and like being talked about, like African booty scratcher, like all that stuff, like it was hard when I was a kid. Like I would be more emotional about it and like why are kids being so mean and why are they XYZ, you know, stuff like that. But I think now that I'm older, I realize that time in my life like forced me to really get a strong hold of my identity and figure out who I am, figure out what makes me me, like, and being okay with being different. Like that's really what that was. It just had to come to a place where I was okay with being different. I was accepting of the fact that, you know, that's what made me stand out, or like that's what separated me from all the people around me. And like I love my culture, I embrace my culture, I love the food, I love like, you know, those third world Caribbean values. I love that my grandma came over here like as an immigrant and, you know, brought her family over here and started from nothing and is able to get to where she is today. Like I just love that. I love that being my story and how I got here, you know. And just having a very clear idea of like who I am and my culture and where I'm from. Like yeah, like I just think it's cool now. It's cool now. It is interesting that, you know, how things change and how the times just change and how like something can be so uncool and so not desired, and then all of a sudden like that's the wave. But I just think it makes me me. Like, I'm just really like a multifaceted person. Like, it was difficult, but I'm glad that I had to go through that experience. I don't think I would be that strong. I don't think I would be the type of person I am all around. Like, my values, the music I listen to, the things I enjoy, like just all of that. Like, all of that makes up who you are. So I'm okay with it. For those of you who want to know, like, I'm using Sonia Kashuk sponges, and I have on NARS foundation. I used the ABH pencil to do my brows, and I use Too Faced concealer under my eyes. The next question is, what do I think is the biggest misconception about me? I don't know. Everybody think they know everybody nowadays. Like, off of social media, like with social media being how it is, people think that they just look at your profile, like look at the pictures you post, look at what your like your stories and stuff, and they think that they can just put together this composite of what they think your life is like and like what they think you've been through and just all this stuff. And it's really, to me, it's crazy because it's you. Like, that's one of my biggest things as a person. Like, you cannot judge people based off of what you see on the outside, not even just social media, just like in life, period. Like, you can look at somebody and just look them up and down and think that you have them all figured out, and you just never do. So I think that's just a lot of what I experienced. Like, people will look at me like, oh, you know, I had this cookie cutter upbringing just because of where I am now, or the, you know, lifestyle or whatever they think that I live now, the things that I have, which, I mean, I don't even feel like I have that much, but, you know, just like, I mean, I'm blessed. Don't get me wrong. I'm very, very blessed, but people just think that it's a lot sweeter than it is and think I grew up a lot sweeter than I did. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, thinking that my childhood, I'm talking and running my mouth and I'm not getting nothing done. This makeup is about to take me 30 fucking hours. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's like people thinking that my childhood was just sweet and like I grew up in this cookie cutter 2-parent household lifestyle, and that's just like, it couldn't be the furthest from the truth. Like, and I think that's I guess a misconception that bothers me, I would say, because people just see you and think that they have you all figured out and think I just live this prissy lifestyle. Like, mind you, it's not like I like struggled, like I'm not gonna say like I've been through the trenches, nothing like that, but it's like I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. Like, my grandparents raised me, like I said, and they made sure I didn't want for anything that I needed, but it's not like we were just living in excess all the time. Like, for starters, like the fact that my grandparents raised me, I wasn't raised by my parents, so that's automatically like not the traditional setup. You know, I had a really rough childhood that people don't, you know, that people don't know about, just like with my parents, and just growing up in DC, just being bullied when I was a kid, like things like that people just don't automatically see when they look at you now. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest misconception about me, that I just grew up in this, you know, sweet lifestyle and never had to go through anything, and everything was just handed to me, when really I had to work really, really hard to defy a lot of odds to get to where I am, and like to be in a situation that I am and be able to, you know, afford things that I can get and like things like that. It wasn't just handed to me. Like, it wasn't just ordained for me to be here. Like, I had to work against a lot of things. So yeah. Why did you choose to go to Michigan? This is a good question. So, like I said, I went to school in DC, to a school called Banneker, Go Bulldogs, Achievers. They be switching stuff up. I don't know what they are today, but yeah, like I went to a really small school in DC. It was like, my graduating class was about 93 people, 93, 94 people, and it was a really small all black, you know, public high school in DC. It was one of the, like, you know, it was a public high school, but you had to test to get into the school. So like a lot of the, like, Banneker used to get coined all the time as like, you know, the smart school, whatever you want to call it, but it was still public, very small, all black. So when I said that I wanted to go to Michigan, like everybody, all of my friends were going to like schools on the East Coast, going to like Hampton or going to, you know, schools in New York, like things like that, which is originally what I thought I was going to do. So when I said I was going to Michigan, or I was even looking at Michigan, everybody's like, what you mean? What's in Michigan? Why? You know, so that was like the biggest reaction that I got, or the main reaction that I got. This is Sacha Buttercup powder, by the way, for those who don't know. It's like really dirty, but we're not talking about that. Yeah, so I was like, you know, originally I wanted to go into business. Like, I always knew that I wanted to go into business. I don't know, it was just an easy decision for me. So when I knew that that was the case, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Like, I was really close to my AP US history teacher at the time, and this was like 11th grade or 10th grade, 11th grade, one of those. And I was talking to him. He was like, you know, you have to look at Michigan. It's a really good school. My son went there, blah, 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 all this stuff. So he basically told me, like, you know, you need to look at this school. I think it'll be a really good fit for you. Long story short, to speed this up, like, I ended up looking at it, liking it. And for me, what made me consider Michigan and like all the other schools that I was considering, like after he showed it to me or talked to me about it, was that I knew I needed to get the experience of being somewhere that wasn't like Banneker, like so small, all black. Like, it's great to be in those settings and in that dynamic, but I just knew that that wasn't the real world. And for what I wanted to do, like going into the corporate sector, I knew that wasn't going to be my life, right? So I needed to get that experience to, you know, just interact with other people, interact with other cultures, interact with, you know, people who don't have the same background as me, who didn't grow up like me, who aren't black. And also, really corny, I really wanted that TV college experience. Like, I wanted that huge sports team. I wanted like all the school spirit. Like, I literally wanted the opposite of what I got in high school. It's like, that's what I was looking for in Michigan. And it did that for me. Like, I think I made the right decision. What I will say is that I didn't expect it to be cold. Well, I knew it was gonna be cold as hell, but I did not know it was gonna be that cold. Like, I don't know how people do that forever, because it's freezing in Michigan all the time, which is why I live in California now, because I refuse. I won't be doing that again. And I should have known that my junior year when I visited in like April and it was snowing. In April. Why would I still go there? It's just stupid. So, but you know, yeah, that's what happened. And I made the right choice, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So it's fine. How do you do with these Fckboys? Or Fckboys, I'll just say it. Well, for one, all men are not Fckboys. Let's clear that up. I'm not one of those like, niggas ain't shit, da-da-da-da. I'm not one of those like, all men are the same, all men are dogs. Like, that's not really me, even though they be trying to push you there. But for me, nowadays, like, I'm just really, I try to be really intentional. Like, you know, we all mess up. Like, I'm not gonna act like I got all the answers, because I don't. Like, I'm single, like, you know, whatever. But I will say, like, I try to be more intentional about just situations that I even allow myself to get in the first place, and just looking at everything as an opportunity to get to know myself, right? So, like, I think a lot of times we mess up when we go into situations with guys, and we like, I see a lot of just women, period, like, they go into situations with guys and they automatically feel like, oh, like their goal in the situation before they even get to know somebody is like, oh, like, I'm trying to make this my man, like, this is about to be my whatever. And like, you don't even know him. You don't even know if y'all get along. You don't even know if y'all like the same things. You don't even know if y'all have good conversation. You don't know, like, anything, like, about him. So how can you want to make somebody your man, like, be with somebody and you don't even know him? Like, that doesn't make sense. So I think that's like the first thing. Like, stop going into situations like assuming that a guy is a dub, like, or a win. Like, that ain't, he not the one. He's not a win just because he showed interest in you. Like, you don't know nothing about him. That might not be the one for you. Like, so don't go into it like, I'm trying to make this work. Like, trying to make what work? You don't know him. So that's one. Two, I also like try to look at situations like, oh, this palette. So, oh, y'all, I've had this palette for so long, but it's the ABH contour palette, and I use this shade right here. I don't even know what it's called. Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but I'll try to figure it out for y'all later. But yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing is like looking at every situation as an opportunity to learn myself. Like, I think you learn yourself in these situations when you're dealing with guys, when you're dealing with people, period, like dealing with friends, all of that stuff. So I take what I've learned from other situations or like past situations, and I'm very intentional about identifying when I feel like those. I use so much bronzer, y'all. I'm sorry, I'm cutting myself off, but people ask me all the time, like, how I get my makeup to look how it looks or whatever. All I do is bronze the fuck out of my face, my whole face, all the time. That's really all I do. So I mean, I don't look. Anyway, yeah. So I'm really intentional about trying to highlight those things that I know bother me, like when I'm dealing with people, and making sure I can see them and call them out once I start dealing with somebody else, right? So say, for me, for example, like because of my childhood, because of the way I was raised, just because of things that I dealt with, like for me, inconsistency is like a really big thing, right? I'm not good with people saying they're gonna do one thing, which I mean, I know a lot of people are just bothered by it in general, but for me, it's like pet peeve. I cannot, I will not, I won't deal with it. So for me, it's like, okay, I know that's a pet peeve of mine. I know that's something that I don't like. So if I see that and I see signs of that in somebody, like, you have to be quick to call that out and quick to realize that, and not be blinded by like, oh, you like him, oh, you whatever, because I know myself, and even if I were to be able to get through that situation with them being inconsistent, as an example, it's not gonna be fun for me, it ain't gonna be fun for him, it ain't gonna be fun for nobody, because I'm gonna just bitch all the time. Like, you don't want to deal with that. So what's the point? And like, that's what I was saying. I'm like, it's just no point. Like, I don't even want to deal with it because it ain't gonna be fun for you and it ain't gonna be fun for me. And I don't like to bitch. Like, that's just not me. Like, I'm not about to be breathing down your neck every 2 seconds about stuff. Like, that's not what I want to do. Like, I'm gonna speak my mind, but I prefer to not have to just be picking at you all the time about stuff. Even if you don't mind, I just don't want to do that. So it's not gonna be fun for either of us. But you gotta know, like, what you don't like. Like, take from every situation, like, I don't like inconsistency. So if somebody's inconsistent, that's not a situation for me. Or I don't like when people aren't like, if they don't acknowledge me on social media. Or I don't like if they aren't, open about things, that they're not talkative, or just whatever. Like, if you're a person that like likes to talk to people all the time on the phone, right, and they're just not like that, like, that's a compatibility thing. I think just realizing that relationships are about compatibility. It's not just like, oh, I like him. You have to literally date people to figure out, am I compatible? Do we do relationships the same way? Like, that's really all that is. I think that's just what it is. People have different ideas about things, and that's okay. Like, that's life. But just not being afraid to call that out, and not just assuming that as a girl, like, your optimal goals. I mean, yeah, we all want to be married. I'm not saying that. Like, as a woman, most women naturally want to be married. You want to have kids. You want to have that. Excuse me. You want to have that experience, but every guy is not that guy. Just realizing that every guy is not that guy, and your job as a woman is supposed to be keeping an eye out for who that guy is. Like, you're supposed to be chosen, but it's okay for you to go into situations and say, like, this is not working for me. Like, figure it out first. Don't just assume that it is, I think that's what it is. Just managing your expectations in that regard, like, going into it, like, is this gonna work? Not, this is gonna work, and then you're just disappointed when it don't, because you don't even know. The next question is, what did I major in, and how did I choose it? I majored in marketing in school, or business. My school, like, didn't have a specific, like, marketing major, but, like, you just kind of concentrate in that field of business. But yeah, I majored in business and went into marketing, and that's what I work in now. And I mean, I knew I wanted, like I said from the beginning, I knew I wanted to do business. So it was just a matter of like what field of business. I wasn't gonna do finance because no judgment, but for me, like the numbers and stuff, like I'm good at math and I was good at math. I just knew I didn't want to do that because to me, it just didn't fulfill my spirit. Like it was a bit boring to me. let me not cap. It was extremely boring to me. Like, I can't sit through that. I'm sorry. So I knew I had to do something that was like more creative. Like, initially I wanted to work in like fashion and things like that. And I haven't given that dream up, you know, or that interest up, but I knew I wanted to do something that was like consumer facing or like dealing with people and gave me a chance to be creative. Yeah, and that's what marketing was. So that's what I did. How to get them finances together post-grad. So remember we was talking about misconceptions, right? Where is my blush, child? Where is my blush? Oh. So now that I have a big girl job, if you want to call it that, I am able to like budget more, but I've never really been good with money for real, to be honest with you. Like, I joke all the time about the fact that I'm not really all that great with money. Like, my grandma is really good with money. She, like I said, she was an immigrant and she came over here from Trinidad, so she's just used to living that minimalist lifestyle, you know what I mean? Like, she didn't have much growing up. They were poor, like not even minimalist, like she was poor, like over in Trinidad. So she made do with a very little bit, and that's just always been what she's had to do. So she came over here and did the same thing. So she's really good with money and she saves her money a lot, and that's one of her like primary frustrations with me is that I don't. What I tell y'all, we need more bronzer. Intermission. I don't even know where, I'm not even going nowhere, really don't. Anyway, so she was just really good with like not spending a lot. And that's something that she gets really frustrated with me about because I'm not really able to do that, you know? I feel like I'm the only person who doesn't like cut their contour with a powder, but like I feel like it makes it such a sharp line, and I like that it blends like this. I feel like it's personal preference, so I don't do that, but you know, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I feel like she's just really good with just living that minimalist lifestyle, like not just really needing a lot, and she's frustrated with me for not being like that. Like in college and stuff, like I was really bad with my money. I'm very impulsive. Like I'm like, oh, it's just $10, oh, it's just $20, or it's just $100, like, you know. So, and I know that about myself. I think it's about just knowing yourself, right? Like, you just really gotta know yourself and know your triggers and know, like, if you are an impulsive person, like, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you can never manage your money properly. You just put stuff in place to get that together. So now that I'm making my own money and I have a little bit more of a handle on it, I can tell myself, like, okay, I need to do things and put things in place in order to save my money properly. So like having a savings in a different bank than my checking is, or, you know, having my calendar and writing out savings goals for myself, or, you know, just things like that. Like, I'm not a person who sits down and like outlines and writes a budget. Like, I don't do that, but like just knowing yourself, knowing that you're impulsive and allowing yourself to spend money on the things that you care about, but still like saving where you don't need to like drop cash all the time. What else? I would say getting an early start on credit. I think one of the, and this is like my last thing, this could be a whole nother video too, but knowing that credit isn't extra money. Like, I think that's one of the biggest things we mess up on. Like, once we do get access to credit as like young adults or whatever, people think that credit is extra money. Credit is not extra money. Like, if you have a credit card with a $1,000 limit, that doesn't mean you have an extra $1,000. And for some reason, that's what people think. And like, that's not how that works. Like, that's not your money. So just getting an early understanding of credit and knowing that credit is something that's supposed to work for you. Like, you should only spend what you have. Like, unless, you know, emergencies come up, and I get that, but spend what you have. Like, credit is not meant to be an extra means of income. Like, that's not what that is, because you always have to pay it back. So it literally cannot be that. But try to get an early start on your credit so that, you know, by the time you're whatever age you want to buy a house or do these things, like you have the credit to do that. How do I balance being faith-led and having a normal life? As I sip wine, I mean, that ain't nothing wrong with that. Jesus drank wine, girl. Don't do that. So the first part of this question is like, and a lot of questions were about spirituality, and like my faith and everything, because I'm very forthcoming with my faith, like on social media, like I talk about it a lot. Yeah. So I think for me, like spirituality, and I'm glad they phrased it that way and said spirituality and not religion, because like I'm very spiritual more than I would say I'm religious. It's about like that relationship that I have with God. For me, I think that's what carries me through. Like I know God, I know how God is, like I know who God is. Like I feel like God is intrinsic to me. So it's not even about, like they aren't two separate entities, like faith-led and like a normal life. Like I get the question, like that's rude. I don't know if y'all can hear that. My faith, like being faith-led is my normal life. Like even though I go out, I had fun, like I participate in like worldly things. It's not like I'm like that. Like I've never been a holier than thou person, but it's all integrated. Like it's not separate to me. Like you can do both. I think that's one of the biggest like misconceptions about just God and religion and like all that stuff all together, is like you have to do God over here and then do life over here, because like they can't be the same. Like that's not what it is. So I think for one, like realizing that it's all integrated. It's about the relationship. It's about building that, you know, just being comfortable with God and talking to God. It's not about like living this holier than thou life. Like he knows you're gonna mess up. He knows you're gonna make mistakes. Like that's not gonna change. No matter how churchy you are, no matter how like into religion people think they are, like nobody's perfect. No one. So I mean, that's just what it is. It's just about just being able to come back and realize when you're wrong and let God lead you. Let God lead you into the things he wants you to be a part of, and trust in him when, you know, you have to operate on his timing and not yours. Another thing is just trying to be as immersed in it as I can. Like I wake up every day and I read the Bible. Like I read a Bible verse. I have like verse of the day notifications on my phone. Like people ask me that all the time. Like where do I get the post from? On my Instagram, it's like literally I get verse of the day notifications, and if that one doesn't speak to me, like I'll literally just like search for what, like however I'm feeling. Like if I'm feeling anxious or worried or peaceful or whatever, like they have a really cool like feature in the app, and you can search for Bible verses that correlate to whatever feeling that you have, and like I'll go through them until something speaks to me, and then God will like tell me something to say, like, and then I'll just go from there, and then I'll write there. Like it's not like a big drawn out process like people think it is. It's literally just letting God speak to me in those things. But yeah, just being as much as I can, reading the Bible. One of my really good friends bought me a prayer journal, and I use that, not as consistently as I should, but like I use that. Even though we're in quarantine and stuff right now, like watching church online, like just being immersed in it, and getting to know him. And like when you've seen God show up in your life so much, and like that's a whole nother thing. Like I've had my whole onslaught of like health issues and like things like that I've seen God pull me through and just getting me to where I am, despite like all the adversity that I went through in my childhood. Like it's no way, like it's only God. Like only God could have gotten me here. So it's no way I could ever like deny him, because it's things I've seen like with my own two eyes. Like that's God. Like that's nobody but God. What's your biggest insecurity? Girl, I'm running my mouth. I still ain't put on this highlighter. My biggest insecurity, my hands. I would definitely say my hands. And right now, these nails look good from afar, but close up, they looking real ratchet. But we're not gonna talk about that. But the nails, these nails, first of all, are not my normal nails. Like I normally get a long coffin claws. Like everybody who knows me knows that. So this is new for me. And the reason why I normally get my nails that long is because I feel like my hands are really big. I don't know if y'all will agree. A lot of my friends feel like I'm just over exaggerating, but like I feel like my hands are really big. So I feel like long nails, like the long coffin nails, help slim them out a bit and just make them look a little bit more like feminine to me. But that's like one of my biggest insecurities, I would say, is like my hand. But this question, I think I'll make my last one. Like why, or where do I see myself in 5 to 10 years? Like I'm at Google right now, but where do I see myself in 5 to 10 years? And honestly, child, I don't know. Like, again, like I'm not that person to like plan out my life. Like this far in advance. Like I knew when I went into college, like I was either going to work in fashion or I was going to work at Google specifically. Like that was the only company that I wanted to work at, like I said, because I didn't want to do finance. I didn't want to work at a stuffy company. I didn't want to do anything like boring, like you know what I mean? So in the culture at Google, you know, it just drew me to that. But again, I'll get into that in a different video. But I've never been a person that's like, oh, like this is my 5-year goal, my 10-year goal. Like I think that goes back to being faith-led. Like wherever God is gonna lead me is where God leads me. Like we make plans, God laughs, so it's no point. I just take the days as they come. Like I've just always been a very like, you know, it is what it is, like live in the present. I'm a realist type of person. So I don't harp on like, oh, like in 5 years, I want to be the head of marketing and blah, blah, blah. Like that might be what I want, but that might not be what God wants for me. That just might not be the plan. Like you might meet somebody tomorrow who has a whole new business venture for you and your whole life change. So I just feel like those goals are just pointless. Like it's arbitrary, like because everything could change so quick. Yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know. If I could pick, like if I had to pick, like, or guess, I guess, or whatever, like of like where I would be in 5 to 10 years, I hope I'm somewhere married 5 to 10. Close to 10. But I hope I'm somewhere married, like with some kids or something. Like, I don't know. Like that's my main thing, like that I would think about, like my family life and like the people around me are like what's most important. So yeah, that's what I would say. Time to spray. This is just MAC Fix Plus. I normally use the lavender one, but they don't have it. Like they didn't have it when I was getting it, so we gotta use the basic one. And just like with the bronzer, I use way too much Fix Plus, y'all. I use way too much scent spray and like all that stuff in general, so whatever. But I feel like it just makes your makeup look so much like better. Like that airbrush look that people say I have all the time, like when it's like just seamless, it's just this. It's because of this, really. And we're gonna finish it off with the lip. And normally I use a lip primer, but I don't know where it's at. I can't. Got it. So lip primer. Yeah. I hope you guys are enjoying quarantine. I know it's an adjustment for everybody. Like, we've all been going through it. But I just think it's important to remember, like, the ways in which you're blessed. Like, if you're able to be home and consider your home a safe haven and somewhere you want to be, somewhere you're comfortable, like, you're so blessed. Like we often forget, like we have to remember that there are so many people who don't see or don't feel like they're home in somewhere where they're safe. And that just honestly like makes me so sad that people right now we have to be in that setting. You can't get away, you can't go anywhere, but like you're dealing with things like domestic violence or just, you know, verbally abusive situations, mentally abusive situations, or, you know, just anything. Like, you don't know what people's household situations are like you just don't know. So just being cognizant of the fact that everybody doesn't have the same, like, everybody isn't able to like be in the house and like focus on like working out or focus on whatever. Like for me, like I'm blessed and I call my house, like my home is a safe haven to me, my, you know, my humble abode. But girl, if I burp one more time, just be mindful of that and like what we say and like the messages that we put out. Like I know for me, like I've been working out and like doing things like getting my YouTube channel, you know, back up and running and things like that. Like I'm blessed to be able to do that, but everybody doesn't have that luxury. Like that's a luxury. Like that's not everybody's case. So just be mindful, be careful about how we speak about things. Yes, I think we'll end there. Like the makeup is done. Like the wine is also almost done. So thank you everybody for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Let me know what other videos you guys want. I know, like I said, a lot of people want like a college career advice, like Q&A-ish type of thing. So like I'll make a separate video about that. But let me know what other videos you guys want to see. Let me know if you like this video down below. Let me know how you're spending your quarantine down below. And yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.